And when people ask me why, I normally respond with, is it that hard to imagine that a guy is clueless?
First, I'm going to say thank you so much for believing women, Kervin, because that's the front part of the video. If you guys have not seen the video, go back and watch everything because I think it's a great conversation that we should be having. The second thing I'm going to say is I do think 100% that most men are clueless about the experiences that women have because they're not women or because they don't check in with us. So the only thing I can say to that is the experiences that I've had in different cities and different, states, in the United States, going to different conventions, I've noticed that when I've said or mentioned the cat calls I've gotten in Indianapolis, versus the cat calls I've gotten in Philly, they were different. There was a very different feel in Indianapolis compared to Philadelphia. But when I've mentioned it to anyone who is a man in the game industry, they always have this really big, like, deep, heartfelt, I'm so sorry you went through that. And it's almost like they're apologizing because they think this is the first offense. Like that this was the first experience I've ever had where somebody is catcalled. And I'm like, I appreciate the apology. I appreciate the empathy and that you can understand that this is uncomfortable for me and that I feel unsafe in certain places. But also, I'd like to point to the fact that I've been getting catcalls since I was like 5. And that's disgusting. I will say that. But the fact that men don't know that this is what women do, like I remember seeing a list a few years ago of like different things that women do that men have no idea about. And this is kind of that same conversation where, and I've even asked my husband, like, hey, the things on that list, like, do you hold your keys in your hand when you're walking in the dark? And he's like, no, why? Or I'm like, wait, so you're not afraid to walk by yourself anywhere? And he's like, no, why would I be afraid? And I'm just thinking, like, what a different life. What a different life he has compared to me, and that I have to prepare my children for. I will say that largely the game industry has been the most inviting, most welcoming, and I feel most diverse, and mostly because everyone has different interests, and there's just so much you can talk about, and it's been my favorite industry. But I will say that as it niches down, I feel more and more uncomfortable. Case in point, today there are 2 conventions in town. I usually have no problem going to conventions. I love interviewing all the people. And the first convention that is going on today is called Adepticon. That is a miniature wargaming, super niche convention. I know I can walk in, it's free. I know I can get like there's like 115 vendors, and I'm like, dude, I can like interview everyone, and it's open, to like 6 or something. And all I keep thinking about is how I don't fit in, and how I know what I'm gonna feel like when I'm there because I felt it before at like think it was C2E2 or Fan Expo, where I just felt so gross the entire time. And I don't know what it is. I'm wearing fucking like it's a sweater and a pair of jeans. Like there's nothing like, oh my goodness. Like I'm not in cosplay. I'm just trying to go below the radar. But I still know I'm gonna feel that way. So it's literally making me not want to go. Where I think about Tattoo Expo, which I would gladly fit in. See my Monopoly. Um, I think about going to that, and I'm like, I bet I'd fit in there, no problem. I don't feel like I'm gonna feel uncomfortable, but something about that collector or like niche down game industry that just makes me feel really uncomfortable, which is so strange because I'm pretty confident in myself. I just don't like that feeling. So thank you for drawing attention. Thank you for the conversation. And also, I'd like to mention that the game industry is so male dominated that I have only ever met 2 women game designers, which means that if you're a woman and you're watching this and you're interested in gaming, please make a game so we can be friends. Thanks, Kervin.